Acca 13 is a chiller, a portmanteau of chill and thriller, the kind of series that manages both an intriguing suspense plot with all of the mystery one would expect from it, while simultaneously having an atmosphere that frequently is at odds with that genre expectation for a thriller series, often low-key, if not outright comfy. So much of that is in Acca's aesthetics, its art style and music and framing come together to create a magical tone that is both engaging and relaxing. And Acca is not just a thriller, it is also a road trip series, a necessary addition that gives it so much emotional space to work with. It is wild for me to think about how this series disappeared with the passage of time, and at risk of doubling up on my last video's conceit, has become a hidden gem, forgotten by even those who enjoyed it. A show like this is worthy of a first watch or a rewatch, as it eloquently manages its timbre to create settings, characters, and mysteries that come off as wordlessly cool, arouse your curiosity, and somehow, against all odds, feel serene. Acca 13 is the story of the titular organization Acca, a civilian-led governmental agency tackling services like police, fire, mail, medical, oversight in the Kingdom of Doa, a necessary independent body from the royal line due to the country's 13 very distinct autonomous districts, which might be better described as mini countries due to their wildly different cultures. Our protagonist, Jean Otis, is a member of the inspection department at headquarters and conducts audits of each district, making sure that there's no corruption within Acca at the regional level. Due to his frequent trips to the outlying areas and his connections in each district, Jean becomes the center of an investigation into a possible coup against the royal family, where the audience is left to wonder whether Jean is unwittingly involved or is actually the centerpiece to this master plan. With this construction, Acca 13 has provided a number of colors in its palette that I think at least one will resonate with anyone who watches it. If you like a road trip style, visiting different places with their own culture to explore, a Vegas strip city followed by a Parisian quarter, Acca's got a new one in every single episode. If you are there for political machinations, the possibility of a coup smoldering in the shadows, the mystery of multiple characters' backgrounds will keep you guessing. If you are there for food and friends having conversations over drinks as smooth jazz plays in the background talking about love and family, we've got you covered. And the constant between all of these different modes of genre is Acca's style. Its art direction is stellar. The background art and its color palettes gorgeous and complementary of the action on screen in every instance, selling you on the differences in these locations. Lighting and color that runs the gamut from the black and white spy films to the maxed out saturation of sugary sweets. Compositions that simply scream cool when the time comes for it, and enough dynamic changes in the shot types to keep me engaged even during a low-stakes conversation. Jean looks the part of a classic detective, never far from a cigarette, black outfit, piercing blue eyes, but he is pretty far from it. He is, at best, a laid-back hero who, even in the middle of huge revelations, is as cool as a cucumber. There's a fun dichotomy at play occasionally in the show where the music and the dialogue will tell you that whatever is happening is a huge deal, but Jean's expression and the shot composition will completely refute that reality. And that is, in part, why the show works so well. It is a genuinely good thriller, a fun knot to watch get untangled, a conspiracy layered within a conspiracy that when the mastermind is wordlessly revealed, everything comes into place for that oh-so-satisfying click moment. But simultaneously, it simply doesn't have the same breathless obsession with the stakes of its plot 100% of the time like your Promised Neverlands or your Psycho-Passes do. It will elevate to that the moments when the show has every narrative engine pointing in the same direction for those true climaxes is phenomenal, but it really does save those for the big moments, because the show is as interested in the political thriller as it is in its more cozy cultural exploration. We get to know Jean's subordinates in the district offices pretty well, how they've adapted to these places, and they serve as our guides into what the people of these districts are like. Baden is modern New York City down to its core. Suitsu is a European entrenched noble aristocracy that refuses to leave the 1600s. Furuwao is a Saudi analog where everyone puts on a smile. Jumoku is randomly home to 6'8" people who consume giant food. That focus on food is actually a big part of how Acca makes these districts feel more real and comfy. even when it doesn't draw explicit attention to it. Something as simple as bread becomes incredibly revealing. Planeta as a district eats hardtack, which makes sense when it's a barren land with very few resources, compared to Bira's rye bread, which is lavish in comparison, but even they can't grow wheat because Bira is a very cold district. And then Doha has sweets and pastries galore as that rustic but upscale home of the royal family. In each example, the folks who live there are reflected by their food. Paneta's citizens are poor but are willing to go through hardship on the chance that they'll strike it rich one day. And unlike other road trip shows where each place has a quote-unquote moral to teach us, Acca 13 has little such interest. These places simply are. They are vehicles not for a lesson, but for our curiosity, both in regard to their existence and their forwarding of the plot. The journey itself is the point. These locations that spark your imagination and instill a sense of place into you are the whole idea. And when added with a thriller that is not the be-all end-all of the story, I believe that is what the heart of what makes Acca 13 work so well. But if Acca were to have a soul, it would have to be Ryo Takahashi's incredible soundtrack. Beautiful piano melodies give way to big band jazzy main themes. It is maybe my favorite use of trumpet in any anime score I have ever listened to. Comparing the energy in a track like Manic Funk to the foreboding in Clash Proof will make you wonder how they can both be using the same core instruments. Acca allows the music to take center stage. We are often left alone with the soundtrack to carry the tone, to keep our emotions exactly where the series wants them. Long pauses, silent conversations, moments designed from the ground up to let the soundtrack get the last word. In some cases, the vibes are completely music-based, and nowhere is the coolness of the soundtrack more clear than in its OP, Shadows and Truth. The one spot where the visuals get to completely forego the grounded nature of the show and bring another level of visual slickness to match its music. There is not much to say about it that it doesn't say itself. Even showing these clips, it is self-evident. Its colors, its transitions, its details, one of the best OPs that time has left behind. Acca also has an OVA special called Regards, which came out a few years after it aired and takes place 1 year after the final episode. I'm no stranger to the OVA special, but there's something incredibly refreshing about Regards when most OVAs feel more like additional episodes that just couldn't make the seasonal list, taking someplace between episodes 7 and 10 for the sake of continuity, or in the worst cases, are just recaps. It is really nice to see Acca get a true epilogue, a little bit more time with this cast that we've come to know and see what their future holds. It still has a little bit of that thriller intrigue, but is mostly dominated by character work. Nino, Jean's best friend and secondary protagonist, gets a lot of focus time here, and that's absolutely the right balance for it. It is very clear that the team behind the OVA had as much fondness for these characters as I did by the end of the show's run, and it is really where the vibes feel at their most immaculate. While the whole show epitomizes cool and the aesthetics never falter, not even for a moment, Regards no longer has to worry about the stakes at all and can simply revel in its characters and in its stylish nature.